I demand entertainment.
Are you not entertained?
Put on your dancing shoes.
Now give me your best shot.
Let's entertain.
With everything entertainment, here she is, Emma Gillespie from thedailyOz.com.au.
Good morning. Well, in the presence of titans of industry after your big award on the weekend, I'm feeling a bit intimidated.
Well,
you
Amanda's
should be.
got a titan.
Oh, that's right. That's what my award was for. Why would you do this? Yes, here's the award on the table. We're cheering for ourselves loudly
I'm
today.
yet to see another one
and
of
so
these.
you should.
Oh,
Yet to
thank
see
you.
another
Very
one of these
impressive
awards, by the
award.
way.
So let's get on to talking about Jada Pinkett Smith, who has recently said, oh, by the way, we've been separated for 7 years.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
Well, I mean, this has got to be one of the most interesting couples in Hollywood, Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. They've been married since 1997, or so we thought. Some interesting information is being drip-fed to us. Jada's on the book tour. She's got a memoir coming out called Worthy, and we're learning a lot. There's revelations about the Oscars slap, their marriage, the idea of this open relationship that they were rumoured to have. And Chris Rock, who of course was the man who was slapped, the Oscars 2022, February last year, if you can believe it was that long ago. And we might have a little bit more of an understanding of the tensions because apparently Chris Rock had asked Jada Pinkett Smith out not so long ago.
Whoa.
I think every summer, all the reports would come out that me and Will were getting a divorce. And Chris he thought that we were getting a divorce. So he called me and he was like, hey, basically he was like, I'd love to take you out. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, aren't you and Will getting a divorce? And I was like, no. I was like, Chris, those are just rumors. He's like, oh my. I mean, he was appalled. You know what I mean? And he profusely apologized, and that was that.
So that's the story behind that slap.
Yes, and this ties into a much bigger story that I mentioned, the idea that they were in an open marriage. I'm sure everyone's heard at one
But
point
she's
or another.
told us that. I don't even care about her, and I know that.
Well, exactly. Apparently that was never true, but it's because in the background that whole time they just weren't together. So here's a little bit of what Jada said about their kind of separation.
As time went on, there were different stages in my marriage where Will and I decided we were not together, where we didn't tell the public, right? Where I was actually thinking about divorcing, separating. I mean, there have been several of those, right? And where we've gone and lived our separate lives. So I think within that is where people might have thought that, oh, they must be having an open relationship.
So this is like why she, at these Oscars, when the slap happened, was really shocked that Will even called her his wife. He said, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. She said she hadn't been called his wife in a really long time.
But
and
they sat next to each
that
other
rattled
like
her.
a couple. I think these two milk this for all it's worth. I think she's got a new book. If she's got a new podcast, if she's got a new whatever, here come the stories.
Well, exactly. And then the question from that is, well, why haven't they just gotten a divorce like everyone else in Hollywood gets divorced? And they have this really interesting rule or caveat about divorce. Here's a bit of what she said.
I made a promise that there will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever. And I just haven't been able to break that promise.
But you still live separately.
We live separately.
I don't really
Because it's too
get it.
expensive. When you're rich, it's easier to live separate lives than get divorced. Because when you get
Interesting.
divorced, all you do
gotta
is
split
give
all
your
the
money
cash.
to a lawyer.
yeah, but what happens here if they go and see if they have other relationships? So that's why they go, people think we're having an open
Well,
relationship.
yeah, I guess that's
Well,
why
that's-
they've had to come out and say that they're not really together, because every time someone spots them with someone else, there's the cheating rumours or the confusion about the open marriage. But Amanda, you're absolutely right. They haven't done anything in the last 7 years to try and distract from this idea that there was an open marriage, or that they've been on every red carpet together holding hands and kissing, and it's just very confusing.
and
in an
she's
industry
choosing
where-
when to be honest about things, which outlet she chooses to be honest to.
Well, exactly. And in an industry where, that doesn't seem that anyone else shies away from divorce, I just am a bit confused about it.
Is it true that Chris Rock has rung Deborah Finesse to see how things are going?
Yeah, he's asked her out this summer. Well, Jada said some weird stuff about Tupac as well. Apparently they were friends when they were young, growing up in similar parts of Baltimore. And she said that Tupac was her soulmate, but that they'd never they'd never had any romantic connection in real life. She says there was no chemistry, but he was my soulmate, and if there is such a thing as past lives, she definitely thinks that Tupac and her would have travelled a few together.
Of course, and she's now having it off with his hologram.
And of course, you can find all of this out in her memoir called
There it is.
Worthy.
And that's available right now, isn't it? On bookshelves. Go and grab it. Emma, it's always a treat. Check her out, thedailyodds.com.au. Thank you. We'll see you next Monday.
See you then.